On a cold, silent night, the sky above a small town turned bright for a moment as something unknown flashed across the darkness. Everyone in the village heard this strange sound. It was not thunder, and it was not an airplane. Some people ran outside to see what was happening. They saw a trail of blue light falling toward the old cornfield near the woods. Everyone watched with fear and curiosity, because no one had ever seen anything like it before. The old man at the bakery pointed and whispered that maybe it was a bad omen. Children hid behind their mothers. Some brave boys tried to get closer, but their parents stopped them. The village dogs barked and howled, but did not dare go near the place where the blue light fell in the center of. The crowd was a young man named Ryan. He was known for his courage and his kind heart. He was always the first to help a neighbor in trouble or to rescue a cat from a tree. Tonight his heart beat faster than usual because he could feel that something important was about to happen. As Ryan reached the edge of the cornfield, he could see smoke rising, and the smell of burning grass filled the air. The field was quiet, except for the sound of something weak and scared. A few villagers followed Ryan, but most stayed far back. Their eyes were wide with fear, and their voices shook when they spoke. They said it was not safe, and that someone should call the police. Ryan took a deep breath and walked slowly toward the center of the crash site. The ground was warm under his feet, and there was a strange energy in the air. He saw a small spaceship half buried in the earth. Its metal surface was scratched and glowing in places. The ship was shaped like a tear and was no bigger than a small car. Suddenly, he heard a soft whimper. It sounded like a child in pain. Ryan's heart broke when he saw the shape lying next to the broken spaceship. It was a child, but not a human child. This child was thin and shaking. Its skin was pale blue, and its eyes were big and shiny. The alien child looked up at Ryan with fear and hope. The villagers gasped when they saw the alien child. Some shouted that it was dangerous, and others said it needed help. The old man with the bakery begged Ryan to come back, but Ryan only moved closer. He knelt down slowly, showing his empty hands, so the child would not be afraid. Ryan saw that the alien child was starving. Its tiny hands held its stomach, and its lips were dry and cracked. The child tried to speak, but only a weak sound came out. Ryan spoke gently to the child, telling it not to be afraid. He promised he would not hurt it. He remembered how his mother always said that kindness was the strongest power in the world. Alien child looked at Ryan for a long moment. Then it reached out with one trembling hand. Ryan smiled and took the hand in his own. The child was cold, and its fingers were long and thin like the branches of a tree. Ryan tried to give it some water from his bottle. The child drank a few sips and looked a little stronger. Behind Ryan, the villagers started whispering louder. Some were afraid the alien would bring trouble. Others wondered if more spaceships would come. Someone tried to call the police, but the signal was lost. The whole night seemed frozen with worry and wonder. Ryan ignored the noise behind him. He looked into the child's eyes and saw fear, loneliness, and hunger. He knew he had to help. No one else in the village had the courage to come close. Ryan thought about what would happen if no one helped the alien child. He could not let it suffer alone. He lifted the alien child gently in his arms. The crowd stepped back in shock. Some people begged Ryan to put the child down, but Ryan only walked forward. He told them that this child needed help, not fear. He asked if anyone had food or medicine, but no one moved. As Ryan walked back toward the village with the child in his arms, something strange happened. The ground started to shake softly, and the wind changed direction. Suddenly, bright lights filled the sky above them. Helicopters appeared, flying low and loud. Their spotlights shone on Ryan and the alien child. Blinding light and the sound of engines made everyone cover their ears. The soldiers jumped out of the helicopters and pointed their weapons at Ryan and the child. They shouted for Ryan to step away and let them take the alien child. Everyone in the village froze in terror. No one knew what to do. Ryan held the child close and tried to shield it from the bright light and loud noise. The alien child looked up at Ryan with scared eyes. Ryan knew he'd only a few moments to make a choice. Should he trust the soldiers or protect the child at all costs? The night was filled with fear and hope. The villagers waited for Ryan to decide, the soldiers waited for Ryan to obey. The alien child waited for Ryan to be its hero, and at that moment, everything changed forever. The cold air trembled as the sound of helicopter blades echoed over the cornfield. The villagers stood frozen, their faces lit by the harsh glow of the searchlights. The soldiers barked orders into the darkness as they marched in a line toward Ryan and the alien child. Their uniforms looked sharp and intimidating, their boots crushing the grass with every heavy step. The night had turned from mystery to danger, and everyone could feel the change in the air. Ryan did not let go of the alien child. He held the small trembling figure close, whispering quiet words of comfort, hoping the child would not panic. The soldiers stopped a few meters away, their faces hard and suspicious. One of them raised a loudspeaker and shouted for Ryan to step back, to leave the child alone. The villagers began to murmur among themselves. Some wanted Ryan to listen to the soldiers, while others whispered that he should protect the helpless creature. The alien child looked up at Ryan. Its big blue eyes glistened with tears, and its thin fingers clung to Ryan's sleeve. The child's lips moved, but no words came out, only a weak pleading sound. Ryan glanced down and nodded slowly, promising in his heart not to abandon the frightened stranger. Soldiers formed a circle, their weapons pointed at Ryan and the alien child. A tall officer stepped forward. He wore shiny medals on his chest, and his eyes were cold. He asked Ryan what he was doing and why he was holding the alien child. Ryan replied that the child was starving and afraid and needed help, not harm. The officer shook his head and said that the alien could be dangerous and that no one should go near it. One of the villagers shouted that the alien child had done nothing wrong. Another shouted that Ryan was just trying to help. The crowd began to argue, their voices rising and falling like waves in the night. The officer raised his hand for silence and told Ryan he had one last chance to step away. Ryan felt fear rising inside him, but he stood his ground. He gently squeezed the alien child's hand. The child stared up at him with desperate hope. Suddenly Ryan heard a strange voice inside his head. The words were not spoken out loud, but he understood them perfectly. The voice said, "Please help me. Do not let them take me. I am not dangerous. I am only lost and hungry." Ryan blinked in shock. He looked down at the alien child. The child stared back with wide, trusting eyes. He realized that the voice had come from the child. Somehow it could speak directly into his mind. He nodded slowly and whispered that he would protect the child no matter what. The soldiers grew impatient. The officer signaled for his men to move forward. The villagers stepped back in fear. No one dared to help Ryan. The child clung tighter to Ryan's arm. Its breathing grew fast and shallow as the soldiers approached. Ryan knew he had to act fast. He glanced around and noticed the old tractor parked at the edge of the field. Without thinking, he ran toward it, carrying the alien child. The soldiers shouted and chased after him, but Ryan was quick. He dodged between rows of tall corn and ducked behind the tractor. The alien child whispered in Ryan's mind again, telling him, "There's a place in the woods where I will be safe. Please take me there." Ryan understood. He waited until the soldiers ran past, then slipped away into the darkness. He ran with the alien child in his arms through the cold night air. Branches scratched at his face and mud clung to his shoes, but he did not slow down. He could hear the soldiers shouting behind him, but he did not look back. Finally, Ryan reached the edge of the woods. He ducked under low branches and pushed through thick bushes. The child stayed silent, but its eyes stayed fixed on Ryan's face, trusting him completely. They reached a small clearing where moonlight spilled onto soft grass. Ryan set the child down and knelt beside it, breathing hard. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around the shivering alien child. The child smiled weakly and leaned against him. Ryan whispered that they were safe for now. The child tried to speak, but no sound came out. Ryan offered it some water. The child drank gratefully and nodded in thanks. Woods were quiet and peaceful, but Ryan knew they could not stay there forever. He could hear the distant rumble of engines as the soldiers searched the fields. Ryan asked the child if it could walk. The child nodded bravely and stood up on shaky Legs, they moved deeper into the woods, walking side by side in the moonlight. The child reached out and touched Ryan's hand. With a gentle thought, the child whispered, "Thank you," in Ryan's mind. Ryan smiled and promised to help the child find safety. Far behind them, the villagers watched the helicopters circle the fields. The officer barked orders, and the soldiers combed the area for any sign of Ryan and the alien child. No one noticed the two shadows disappearing into the forest. Ryan and the alien child moved forward, hearts beating with fear and hope. Each step into the darkness brought new danger, but also the chance for kindness to change everything. The night was long, but Ryan knew his choice would make all the difference. Deep inside the forest, Ryan and the alien child moved quietly under the cover of darkness. The sounds of soldiers grew faint behind them as they pushed through thick bushes and low branches. The child was tired and weak, but it tried to walk bravely beside Ryan, trusting him with every step. The forest was strange and filled with shadows, but Ryan felt a strange comfort in the silent trees. He listened to the soft rustle of leaves and the distant cry of an owl, wondering what the next hour would bring. The moon shone above like a silver lantern, casting long shadows on the ground. Ryan could see the child shivering in the cold night air, so he wrapped his own jacket tighter around its shoulders. The child looked up at him with wide eyes full of fear and hope. Ryan smiled gently and squeezed its hand. He whispered that everything would be all right, even though his own heart beat fast with worry. They walked deeper into the forest, searching for a place to hide. Ryan remembered an old cave, hidden behind a wall of moss and stones, not far from here. He hoped it would be safe enough for them to rest and think. Ryan led the way through tall grass and over fallen logs, careful not to make any noise. The alien child followed quietly, watching every movement with wonder and nervous excitement. After a long walk, they found the entrance to the cave. It was dark and cool inside, smelling of earth and damp stone. Ryan checked the space with a flashlight from his backpack. He made sure there were no animals or hidden dangers before helping the alien child inside. The cave was small, but just big enough for both of them to sit comfortably. Ryan gathered some dry leaves and made a soft bed for the child. The child curled up and closed its eyes for a few moments, finally able to rest. Ryan sat close by, listening for any sign of trouble outside. He knew the soldiers would not give up easily. He could still hear faint shouts in the distance and see flashes of light moving between the trees. Ryan decided to keep watch all night. He wanted to protect the child no matter what happened. Hours passed slowly in the cave. Ryan watched the alien child sleep. Its breathing was uneven, and it looked so thin and fragile. Ryan wondered what kind of world the child had come from and what kind of trouble had brought it here. He noticed a small silver object clutched tightly in the child's hand. It glowed faintly in the darkness like a hidden star. Suddenly the child opened its eyes and sat up. It looked at Ryan, then at the silver object. It spoke in a soft voice inside Ryan's mind. The words were gentle and kind. "I am sorry I brought danger to your world, but I need your help. My people sent me here with this artifact because our planet is dying. The artifact can save my world, but it is also very powerful. The ones who destroyed my family are coming here for it. If they find me, they will destroy your planet too." Ryan listened carefully. He did not understand everything, but he knew he had to help the child. He promised to protect the artifact and to find a way to return it to the child's home. The alien child nodded with gratitude. Its eyes shone bright with tears and hope. Outside the cave, the sounds of the forest grew louder. The wind shook the trees and small animals scurried through the underbrush. Ryan knew they could not stay in the cave forever. He looked at the artifact in the child's hand and wondered what secrets it held. He asked the child if it could use the artifact to call for help from its home. The child shook its head and explained that it was broken during the crash. Only a special energy source could fix it, and that energy was hidden somewhere on Earth. Ryan thought about the stories he had heard as a child, tales of strange lights and secret places in the forest. Maybe there was truth in those old legends. Maybe they could find the energy source before the enemy arrived. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the cave. The ground shook and small stones fell from the ceiling. Ryan held the child close and listened. He heard voices outside. The soldiers had found their trail. Ryan whispered for the child to stay quiet and not to move. He crept to the entrance and peered out. Through a gap in the rocks, he saw soldiers moving carefully among the trees. Their flashlights danced across the ground as they searched for footprints. Ryan's heart raced. He knew they had little time to escape. He slipped back inside and told the child they had to leave now. The child nodded and clung to the artifact tightly. Ryan led the way through a narrow tunnel at the back of the cave. He remembered this secret exit from his childhood adventures. He crawled through the darkness with the child close behind. Finally, they emerged in a thicket far from the main path. The soldiers' voices faded away as Ryan and the child ran deeper into the forest. They did not stop until they reached a quiet stream. Ryan knelt by the water and let the child drink. The night was almost over, but Ryan knew their journey had just begun. They had escaped danger for now, but the real adventure was only starting. Together, Ryan and the alien child looked up at the sky. The stars above seemed to shine brighter than ever. Ryan made a silent promise to protect the child and the artifact no matter what waited ahead. The morning sun painted the forest in golden light as Ryan and the alien child moved along the quiet stream. Their feet splashed softly in the cool water while birds sang in the high branches above. The night of fear and running was behind them, but Ryan's mind stayed alert for any sign of danger. He did not know if the soldiers were still searching, but he knew he could not rest until the child was truly safe. The alien child walked silently by his side, its eyes wide with wonder and its tiny hands gripping the glowing artifact. As they followed the stream deeper into the woods, the child paused often to look at bright flowers or the pattern of sunlight through the leaves. It seemed both amazed and sad. Ryan watched it carefully, noticing every small gesture. Every time he saw the fear in the child's eyes, he felt his heart ache for this lost visitor. Ryan found a quiet place beneath a big tree where the roots curled like a natural chair. He sat down and invited the child to sit beside him. The child hesitated, then sat with a tired sigh. Ryan pulled some crackers from his backpack and offered them. The child sniffed the food carefully and took a bite. Its eyes brightened as it tasted something new. While they rested, Ryan decided it was time to learn more. He spoke gently, asking the child about its home and why it had come to Earth. The child looked at the ground, then slowly raised its head. The answer came not with spoken words, but inside Ryan's mind. Just as before, the thoughts were sad and heavy. My world was once bright and full of life. My people loved peace and music and the stars. We never wanted war, but a powerful enemy came searching for the artifact. The enemy wanted to use its power to destroy and conquer. The child held up the glowing object as if it carried the weight of many worlds. It continued to speak in Ryan's mind. When the enemy attacked, my family sent me away in a small ship. They told me to protect the artifact at all costs. If the enemy takes it, your world will be in danger too. That is why I am here and why I am afraid. Ryan listened closely, trying to imagine a planet full of music and stars, now lost to darkness. He wanted to say something wise, but all he could offer was kindness. He promised to help the child protect the artifact and to keep it safe from the enemy. The child looked at Ryan with shining eyes and thanked him in the gentle way only it could. Suddenly, a branch snapped somewhere nearby. Ryan's heart jumped in his chest. He looked around, but saw only a family of deer watching them from the shadows. Still, the fear returned. Ryan knew the forest could not hide them forever, and the enemy might be closer than he thought. He decided to move again, taking the child deeper into the woods. They climbed over fallen logs and ducked under heavy branches. Sometimes the child would stop and touch a strange stone or listen to the song of a bird. Ryan noticed the child was always searching, as if remembering something. Lost at midday, they reached a small hill covered in wildflowers. Ryan and the child sat on the hill and looked up at the sky. The child pointed to a group of birds flying in a perfect V and smiled. Ryan asked if the child missed its family. The answer came as a feeling of deep sadness and longing. Yes, I miss them every day, but I am not alone now, because you are my friend. For a moment the world felt peaceful, and Ryan forgot about the soldiers and the enemy. Then the child grew quiet and seemed to listen to something far away. Its eyes grew wide with fear. The enemy is coming. I can feel their minds. They are searching for the artifact, and for me, Ryan jumped to his feet. He told the child they needed to find a better hiding place. He remembered an old hunter's cabin nearby and led the child quickly through the trees. They reached the cabin just as the wind picked up and clouds covered the sun inside the cabin. The air smelled of old wood and forgotten memories. Ryan checked every corner, making sure they were alone. He found a blanket and wrapped it around the child. The child shivered and hugged the artifact close. Ryan asked if the artifact could protect them. Child shook its head and explained the artifact was weak now and could only be restored with the right energy source. Hidden somewhere on Earth was a crystal that could fix the artifact. The child said they had to find it before the enemy did. As the evening fell, Ryan sat by the small window, watching for any sign of movement in the woods. The child lay on the blanket and tried to rest. Its thoughts floated gently. To Ryan, thank you for believing in me and for your kindness. I am not afraid when you are here. Ryan knew the road ahead would not be easy, but he promised himself to protect the child and help it find the missing crystal. As the first stars appeared above Ryan and the alien child sat together in the silent cabin, united by hope and the promise of friendship. As the new day began, sunlight crept through the dusty windows of the old cabin where Ryan and the alien child waited in uneasy silence. The air outside was cool and fresh, filled with the gentle music of songbirds, but Ryan felt the weight of worry pressing on his shoulders. He watched the child sleep and wondered if they would ever find the crystal to restore the artifact, or if the enemy would reach them first. When the child woke, its eyes opened wide with a mix of hope and sadness. It asked in a soft voice inside Ryan's mind if they could start searching for the crystal without waiting any longer. Ryan nodded and packed a few supplies into his old backpack. He checked the small map he carried and remembered stories of strange rocks and lights seen near the deepest part of the forest. Perhaps there they could find the crystal they needed. The alien child followed him into the sunlight, its steps slow but steady, clutching the artifact close to its chest as if afraid it might disappear without warning. They walked for hours through thick grass and tangled roots. The forest grew deeper and older with every step. Shadows moved among the trees, and sometimes Ryan thought he saw strange shapes watching from the darkness, but when he looked again, nothing was there. The child said nothing but stayed close to Ryan, as if sensing the same fear. After a long walk, they reached a place where the earth rose into a gentle hill, and old stones stood in a silent circle at the top. Ryan felt a chill even though the sun shone bright. He remembered old stories about these stones and how the villagers said they were left by people from the stars a long time ago. The alien child touched the largest stone, and a soft blue light spread from its hand into the rock. Ryan watched as the stone began to hum quietly. The child closed its eyes and listened with all its heart, and after a long moment, it opened its eyes and told Ryan the energy of the crystal was nearby, hidden below their feet. Before Ryan could ask how they could reach it, the ground shook and a strange rumble echoed through the forest. Suddenly, a loud roar broke the silence and a huge dark shape moved across the sky above them. Ryan looked up and saw a ship much bigger and more dangerous than the one the child had crashed in. It landed behind the circle of stones, its metal body covered in strange marks and glowing symbols. As the dust cleared, Ryan saw a group of tall figures emerge from the ship. Their skin was gray and their eyes shone red with anger. Each one wore armor that looked sharp and cold. Alien child shrank back in fear. Ryan stepped forward and put himself between the child and the strangers. The leader of the wave group walked closer and spoke in a voice that echoed inside Ryan's mind. Give us the artifact now, and we will spare your world. Defy us, and we will destroy everything you love. The alien child shook with fear. and held the artifact tighter. Ryan looked at the leader and asked why the artifact was so important. The leader answered without emotion. The artifact has the power to control energy, to open doors between worlds, and to turn any planet into a weapon. We have searched for it for many years. We will take it by force if you do not give it freely. Ryan felt fear, but also a strange courage rising in his chest. He said he would never let them hurt the child or take the artifact. He told the leader that Earth was not a place for war, and that people here believed in hope and kindness. The leader only laughed and gave a signal to his followers. The soldiers of the enemy moved forward, surrounding Ryan and the child. The sky above turned dark as the enemy ship powered up its engines and sent beams of red light across the clearing. The child whispered in Ryan's mind that they must protect the artifact at all costs, or everything would be lost. Ryan remembered the circle of stones and suddenly had an idea. He shouted for the child to place the artifact on the largest stone as quickly as possible. The child hesitated, but trusted Ryan and ran to the stone. The artifact began to glow brighter than ever before, and a beam of light shot into the sky. The enemy soldiers fell back, covering their faces from the blinding lighting. The middle of the confusion, the ground cracked open, and a blue crystal rose from the earth. The child ran to grab it and pressed it to the artifact. Energy flowed between the two objects, and the artifact became whole again. The enemy leader screamed in anger and ordered his soldiers to attack, but the circle of stones came alive with power, creating a barrier around Ryan and the child. The alien child sent a message into the leader's mind. You cannot win with hate. Only friendship and hope can protect worlds like ours. The leader tried to break the barrier, but the power of kindness was stronger than any weapon. As the enemy ship pulled back and vanished into the sky, Ryan and the alien child stood together in the light of the restored artifact. Safe for now, they knew the battle was not over, but they had found the courage to fight together. A cold wind swept through the ancient circle of stones as Ryan and the alien child caught their breath. The enemy ship had vanished into the morning sky, but the air still buzzed with the memory of danger. The child clutched the restored artifact close to its chest and leaned against Ryan for comfort. Together they listened to the forest. As the birds fell silent and the leaves seemed to whisper of coming trouble, Ryan knew the enemy would not give up easily, and he wondered what would happen next. He helped the alien child stand and led it down the hillside away from the stones. World felt different now, as if every branch and shadow was watching. The child's eyes were full of worry, but Ryan tried to keep his voice calm and kind. He reminded the child that they had survived worse, and that together they could face whatever came next. The child nodded and smiled, weakly grateful for Ryan's courage. They walked through thick brush and crossed a shallow stream. Ryan felt his heart pounding with every step. He looked back, often expecting to see the enemy soldiers or the dark ship looming in the sky. Instead, he saw only the quiet trees and the faint path ahead. After a while, they came to a small clearing where the village could be seen in the distance. The rooftops glimmered in the sunlight, and the air was filled with the distant sound of people going about their lives. Ryan wondered if anyone knew about the danger, or if they would help if he asked. Alien child looked up at Ryan with a question in its eyes. Should we go to the village or stay hidden? Ryan thought for a moment and decided they needed help. He told the child that the people in the village could be brave too, and that sometimes courage grows when people come together. They walked toward the village, moving quietly so no one would notice. When they reached the edge of the village, Ryan saw familiar faces. Some people were afraid and turned away. Others gathered to see what was happening. Few children pointed at the alien child with wide eyes. Ryan stood tall and called out to the crowd. He explained that the alien child was lost and needed help. He said the child had come from a world far away and that powerful enemies were hunting them. He told the villagers that only by working together could they keep everyone safe. At first, the villagers were silent. Some whispered to each other. Others looked at the alien child with fear or curiosity. Then an old woman stepped forward. She remembered how Ryan had always helped his neighbors. She told the others that Ryan would not lie, and that if he trusted the child they could too. Slowly more villagers joined her, offering blankets, food, and water. Alien Child watched the people with amazement. It spoke into Ryan's mind and said that in its world, kindness was the greatest gift, and that Ryan had shown it more than anyone ever had. Ryan smiled and told the child that people on Earth could be strong when they stood together. Suddenly a deep roar filled the sky. The enemy ship had returned, flying low over the village. The villagers screamed and ran for cover as beams of red light swept across the ground. Enemy soldiers jumped from the ship and surrounded Ryan and the child. Their leader pointed at Ryan and demanded the artifact. Once again Ryan's heart raced, but he refused to give up. He stood in front of the alien child and told the leader that the artifact would never be used for harm. The leader laughed and ordered his soldiers to capture Ryan. The villagers saw this, and for the first time, their fear turned to bravery. They formed a circle around Ryan and the child, blocking the enemy's path. The enemy soldiers fired warning shots into the air, but the villagers did not run. They shouted that the child was under their protection. The leader grew angry and seized Ryan, dragging him away from the crowd. He threatened to destroy the village if the artifact was not given to him. Alien Child cried out in fear, its mind filled with panic and sadness. The villagers looked at each other and knew they had to act together. With one voice they shouted that they would never let hatred win. They picked up sticks, stones, and farming tools and moved toward the enemy soldiers. A sudden burst of energy came from the artifact as the child held it high. A wave of light spread across the village, making the enemy soldiers stumble and fall. The leader screamed in rage and held Ryan tightly, using him as a shield. Ryan looked at the villagers and shouted for them to stay strong, told the alien child not to be afraid and to trust in the kindness of people. The child's eyes filled with tears, but it nodded bravely. It reached into the artifact's heart and sent a message of hope and peace through the air. As the sun set behind the hills, the villagers stood united around Ryan and the alien child. The enemy leader's power began to fade in the face of so much courage and kindness. The night was coming, but hope was stronger than any fear. The evening sky glowed with the last colors of sunlight as Ryan stood surrounded by the brave villagers and the alien child. The village felt different now. Every person seemed to stand a little taller. Every voice was strong with hope. The enemy soldiers circled the clearing. Their leader still gripped Ryan by the arm, his eyes full of anger and fear. The artifact in the alien child's hands shone with a gentle blue light that seemed to touch every heart. The alien child looked at Ryan and spoke softly into his mind. "We have come so far, and your courage has shown me the beauty of this world. I will try to help you now, even if I am afraid." Ryan nodded and squeezed the child's hand. His words were steady and kind. He told the child to believe in itself, to use the strength inside, and to remember that even in the darkest moment hope could grow. The enemy leader raised his weapon and threatened the villagers again. He shouted that kindness was weakness and that fear would win, but the villagers stood together like a wall of light. The old woman who had first helped Ryan now held her arms wide, telling the enemy that in their village they protected every living soul. The other villagers joined her, their faces glowing in the blue light of the artifact. The alien child stepped forward, holding the artifact high above its head. The leader tried to pull Ryan away, but the villagers moved closer, joining hands and forming a circle around their friends. The alien child closed its eyes and reached deep into the artifact, searching for a power that could change everything. A quiet hum filled the air, growing louder and warmer until the ground itself seemed to sing with energy. The artifact sent out gentle waves of light that danced through the air, touching every person in the clearing. The villagers felt peace and courage growing inside their hearts. The enemy soldiers felt something new too. Their anger and fear began to fade, replaced by a strange sense of wonder. The leader of the enemy tried to fight the feeling, but the light was too strong. He fell to his knees, unable to lift his weapon. His soldiers lowered their arms, confused and unsure what to do. Ryan looked into the leader's eyes and spoke calmly. "You do not have to fight. You do not have to hurt others to find your place in the universe." The alien child opened its eyes and spoke in a voice that echoed with wisdom and love. "We are all lost sometimes. We all feel afraid, but hope is a power that can heal even the deepest wounds. The artifact belongs to no one. It is a gift that should only be used for peace." The villagers began to sing a simple song of welcome. Their voices joined together, filling the night with music. The blue light grew brighter. The enemy soldiers dropped their weapons and listened. The leader bowed his head and let go of Ryan. For the first time he saw the alien child not as an enemy, but as another lost soul searching for home. The alien child turned to the artifact and released a final wave of light. The energy spread far into the sky, rising above the trees and hills and reaching into the stars. The child smiled as it felt the presence of its own people far away. A message of peace traveled across the universe, carrying hope to worlds that had only known fear. Ryan knelt beside the child and told it how proud he was. He said the child had taught everyone in the village about bravery and friendship. The child hugged Ryan with tears of happiness shining in its eyes. It whispered that it would always remember Earth and the kindness it found here. The enemy leader stood up slowly. He looked at his own soldiers, then at the villagers and the child. He dropped his armor to the ground and said quietly that he was sorry. The villagers forgave him because their hearts were full of the light from the artifact. As the night grew quiet, the alien child turned to Ryan and showed him how to activate the artifact one last time. A small blue portal appeared, swirling with light. The child thanked every villager with a gentle thought. Then it stepped through the portal, leaving behind a world forever changed. Ryan watched as the portal faded. He knew he would never forget the lessons of this adventure. He walked back to the village with the villagers by his side, feeling a sense of unity he had never known before. From that day on, the village became a place of hope and welcome. People from far away would visit to hear the story of the brave man, the starving alien child, and the night when unity saved two worlds. The old stones on the hill stood as a reminder of what could happen when kindness was stronger than fear. Ryan would often look up at the stars and wonder about his friend somewhere out in the universe. He knew the alien child would always remember him and the people of Earth, just as he would remember the night their lives changed forever.